Okay, I will get started. My name is Alice Roche, and I am the Chief Operating Officer at Charity Digital. What that means is I look after about 75% of the business internally. So our e-commerce, our marketing, our content, customer service, and product sales. I will pass over to my colleagues to introduce themselves now. Joel.
Thank you, Alice. Hi, everyone. Yeah, my name's Joel Hogan. I'm the Programs Manager here at Charity Digital. Do a number of different things at Charity Digital, such as providing consultations, leading strategy in some of our key partner programs, and also still helping out in frontline tasks and queries as well. I'll pass over to Elizabeth.
Thank you, Joel. I'm Elizabeth Carter, and I am the email marketing manager here. So the product that I manage with over 120 clients is the .digital powerful email marketing platform. And I'll pass it over to James.
Hey everyone, I'm James. I'm the e-commerce manager here at Charity Digital. I manage the products platform, which is where you can access discounts for your charity. So anything new coming on, I'll send your organisation an email to let you know the great discounts that we have available exclusively for charities. And that's me.
Thank you, everybody. I can see some familiar faces joining us. So just for a bit of background about what these webinars are, we call them our focus groups. So they're much smaller audiences that we run these sessions every couple of weeks, and it's really a drop in, drop out for you guys to ask questions about us, how we can further support you, our services and the things that we offer. But also it's a bit of a knowledge sharing session. We are a charity ourselves. So our mission at Charity Digital is to educate the charity sector on accelerating their digital strategy. And we also provide hugely dramatically reduced software at crazy discount prices. So we educate the charity sector through our content. So we have a content facing website, and all of our webinars, podcasts, articles are on that website, and it can be anything from fundraising to kind of sector trends that are happening at the moment. We've got lots on AI at the moment. We have volunteer management software, information, you name it. So yeah, we use this session really just to hear from you guys the kinds of things that you need help with, and basically to further our mission, which is to help the charity sector. So just want to remind you that this webinar is recorded, and the recording with subtitles, slides and supporting resources will be made available in a few days in your inbox. So please keep your eyes peeled for that. And if you have a question that you would like to be answered, please do feel free to use the chat box. I can see some people are introducing themselves already, which is fantastic. Please do use the chat box. We have already received some questions in advance because we allow for pre-submitted questions. So we will go through those, and then we will come through to the ones in the chat box. And then once the session ends, you'll be prompted for some feedback. It's a sort of 30-second questionnaire to fill in, and we just really appreciate any feedback we get so that we can continue to develop what we offer and improve our services essentially. So yeah, please do fill that in for us, because we would love to hear your thoughts. So without further ado, we will go to the first pre-submitted question. So we had one from an organisation called Orchestras for All. I'm not sure if they are on this call, but they asked, should every charity have VPNs for all its employees? And if so, what VPN would you recommend? Sorry, I've just seen the chat. We actually do have Helen from Orchestras for All. So lovely to have you here, Helen. So yeah, so Joel, could you talk a bit more about should every charity have VPNs for its employees?
Sure. So the answer is not always. So the reason being is that VPNs can sometimes affect the performance of a device as well. And also VPNs can be called something called considered a single point of failure. So what that means is that every sort of device user that is using the VPN, if something were to go wrong with the VPN, maybe it's the VPN that provide themselves, if something goes wrong with it, then all of your users would be affected. Obviously, VPNs are very useful, particularly if you are working on perhaps like sort of public Wi-Fi's out of like sort of maybe not as trusted sort of Wi-Fi connections. That kind of thing would definitely be essential for that. In terms of recommendations, so we don't work with any organizations that provide charitable rates for VPNs, but I do have a bit of a I did think about this, and I find that a lot of YouTubers, at least ones that I follow anyway, and when they have their own adverts, when they're trying to increase their own income, many of them work with VPN providers, so such as like NordVPN, ExpressVPN, Surfshark as well. And these YouTubers tend to always have some sort of deal with them where if you go to say the VPN website and then type in the code or link that's provided by the YouTuber, you can get a further discount on that as well. So if there is anyone on YouTube, like a channel that you follow as well, by all means look that up. For me, it comes up a lot. I sometimes look at sort of video game channels sometimes as a hobby as mine, and sometimes yeah, a lot of them are sort of being sort of sponsored by VPN providers. So not charitable, afraid, but just trying to think a bit outside the box there in terms of where you might be able to get a discount.
Thank you, Joel. That's great. I've also had, this is also from Helen. What is a good password manager for a small organization, about 10 full-time employees?
Sure. So we have a product you might want to check out called Dashlane. So it's on the Charity Digital Exchange catalogue. I believe there's a 50% access to discounted rates on that. Not off the top of my head, I'm not sure exactly what you're paying directly, but by all means have a check that out on our Charity Digital catalogue for sure. So Dashlane.
Excellent, thank you. We often find, so this is part of all the questions from Helen. So we often find ourselves needing to use public Wi-Fi when we run in-person events over several days at an external venue. Are there any good solutions to this, such as buying a dongle or a router to use over several days, or should we continue to use public Wi-Fi with precautions in place?
Oh, okay. So yeah, with the first question, yes, and I can see why you're looking at VPNs for sure. So in an ideal world, the best option would be to use a dongle and your own connection. However, as an own connection isn't always possible, you need to be extra cautious, ensure that you do have a good firewall on the device that you're using, as well as up-to-date antivirus and malware protection. That's probably the best you're going to get.
Thank you. And you'll be needing a sip of water because I think the next one you need to answer as well. What is a good cybersecurity software for a small organization? Again, about 10 full-time employees working hybrid or remotely.
Sure. As you're working sort of remotely hybrid, you might want to consider antivirus from Avast, which we often talk about on our Q&As here. And the reason I recommend that one is because it's because the protection is deployed via the cloud. It's the licenses are very flexible, so you can move them to different devices as and when is required. So you can find that quite useful. It's worth pointing out that we've actually there's a special offer on Avast antivirus licenses at the moment. So there's a discount going on at the moment which finishes early next week, I believe, as well. I'm sure there'll be a link there in the chat very shortly if it isn't there already. Aside from Avast as well, in terms of protection, if you're using 365, you'd want to be using something called Intune for your device protection. Intune, you can purchase it separately as a subscription within 365, or it's also included in many sort of higher end 365 subscriptions. It's part of a family called the Enterprise Mobility and Security, and that is included in Microsoft 365 Business Premium as well. So Business Premium up in terms of Microsoft 365, like Microsoft 365 E3 will have Enterprise Mobility and Security, which will have Intune included as well. So yeah, there's probably two things that you might want to look at.
Thank you, Joel. Not always a glamorous topic, cybersecurity, but always an important one and one we get asked about a lot. So we've had a couple of questions come through in the chat. One from a gentleman named Richard Shenton asking about changing email providers, and do we have any suggestions? Currently, their website host doesn't offer this service.
Yeah, I can pop on there. I know that James has put in the Microsoft 365 in the chat there. Richard, I don't know whether you're actually looking for an email marketing platform or an email provider, but we do have the .digital email marketing platform, and it's a non-for-profit product that we offer. And if you wanted to find out any more information about that, and then I will gladly help you with that as well. Also, there's lots of other email marketing platforms out there that do give good value for what you have. But if you wanted to chat, just get in touch with me and we can have a look at sort of the pricing or anything else. Thank you, James. Yeah, James has just put the link in there for .digital.
Thank you, Liz. And we should have said at the beginning, but the customer service at charitydigital.org.uk, please do feel free to use that. We're a really small organisation ourselves, well, smallish. We have 22 members at Charity Digital, and there's about 3 people on the customer service. And then Liz looks after our .digital email marketing platform. So you would be getting through to the lovely Liz if you email charitymailsupport@charitydigital.org.uk. So those are on the screen now if anyone does want to organise any follow-ups. And we also offer free product consultations with Joel, the expert, the one that's been nattering on. We offer free product consultations. So they're just 30-minute Zoom or Teams calls where we can listen to, your challenges as an organisation, and we can give recommendations. And it won't always be what we sell because we don't actually have any control over what comes into our catalogue, but we can give product recommendations of things that we even use as an organisation. So I think James is kindly posting the links in the chat now, but I thought it was worth mentioning that. So we have had another question which says, we use Microsoft SharePoint for our electronic storage. Should we be doing a backup? And if so, how often? Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, absolutely. You should back up. How often? I'll probably take that away actually on with our head of IT actually, just to double check how much they're doing it actually for sure. Because I'm not sure how often I wouldn't want to take a shot in the dark how much we're backing up. There is a subscription add-on to 365 called, I think it's called 365 Backup, which you might want to look in as an add-on. I'm not sure how much the pricing is. It's one of those subscriptions within a huge orchard of different types of Microsoft Cloud subscriptions, but you might want to look up 365 Backup as a subscription to help you with that. But by all means, I'll take the query offline. And we were going to say at this point, when we finished with our Q&As, what we do is we send the questions round at the end, and anything that's like sort of left sort of unanswered, like this particular query, we'll get that answered before we send it around. So yeah, just follow up with our follow-up email later.
Yes, I've actually just pinged our head of IT the question because I'm intrigued. How often do we do our backup of our Microsoft SharePoint storage? I can't imagine losing that, losing anything from that. So let's move on. So I've had one saying, I'm a CIC, what can I access?
Yeah, sure. In terms of access with Charity Digital, so there's a couple of products, both have been mentioned already, funny enough. So for cybersecurity, you can get access to the discounts for Avast. So that's for your antivirus and any add-ons with that, whether it be content filtering or patch management, or C Cleaner as well is a product that they do, which is made with CICs. And also what Liz looks after as well, which is .digital for non-profits as well. That's available to CICs as well. You don't need charitable status for that. Outside of our realm, but still great friends of ours, and there's an organisation called In Kind Direct, which certainly gladly does take on CICs in terms of if you're looking to access donations, which could be in the form of hardware, or perhaps if you're something more community based, or like maybe the food bank or baby bank, they could provide donations in that sense as well. Anything I'm missing?
No, we were just clarifying in the chat what a CIC is. So that is a community interest company. And yeah, James has provided the links as well. Interestingly, David Adams, who essentially should just be getting paid to be on these webinars with us because you're such a regular, always providing such useful support. David, do you mind expanding on your point about the backup of Microsoft 365 SharePoint? Putting you on the spot now.
Am I heard? Yes. Yeah, so it's not a black and white answer. The usual answer to should you back up is always yes, and that is the default for pretty much all circumstances. But from a Microsoft 365 perspective, when you actually read up on what they do to protect that data, it is far, far more than you will ever do. They've got geo-redundant data centers. They've got checks on this and checksums and this and that and the other. It's more than you will ever do. Then you think to yourself, well, okay, so if the data's then protected, what about if I, accidentally do X, Y, or Z kind of thing? They've got that covered as well. So every single SharePoint site, every file itself is versioned. So you basically you never overwrite the file. You're just adding another version on top of each. If you do actually delete something, it's never deleted. It just goes into the first stage recycle bin, which gives you 30 days access to it. And then even after that, there is a second stage recycle bin that I think is up to about 90 days or something like that that an admin can actually restore it. So you're basically pretty much covered from a data loss perspective. It's just never going to happen with Microsoft 365, the way they've set up their infrastructure. And if mistakes do happen, they've got that covered too. Yes, there are backup solutions for Microsoft 365. Veeam is probably the de facto one. I think Joel mentioned there's one from Microsoft. There's another company as well, I forget. But they're all priced and they're not cheap. And in my opinion, you just don't need to.
That's really useful. Thank you, David. Our head of IT has actually just come back and said something very similar. So said that Microsoft retain a backup of 14 days. So yeah, it's just not necessary. We don't do it. Okay, excellent. So we've had one on social media scheduling platform. Have you got any advice? We are looking at a social media scheduling platform.
Yeah, I can pop in on this one. So yes, there's Hootsuite is a social media management platform that allows you to promote content, increase engagement, and streamline your customer service. And you can access up to 75% off their rates by going through our website on Charity Digital Exchange. And James is going to put the link up in there using your validation token. And charities can also access, just to mention another product as well, 10 free licenses for Adobe Express, which also has social media scheduling, and you can create assets for your social media as well with this.
That's great. Thank you, Liz. I'm just scanning the chat for more. So in relation to cybersecurity, Joel mentioned antivirus earlier. Do you recommend anything as a firewall?
In terms of firewalls, I mean, the only thing that we work directly with, which is more for on-site protection, would be something like Cisco, in terms of device and some of the software that it comes with. It can be a little bit pricey for those. It's probably larger for some. There are charitable discounts for it, but it's only suitable for some types of organizations. Outside of that, I'm not sure we work with outside any sort of like maybe sort of cloud version, or sorry, firewalls, so outside of Cisco at the moment. I can take a look into that for you and get back to you in terms of if there's anything else that we work with firewall wise, or that is providing some sort of charitable offer outside of Cisco.
Thank you. Have you any experience of compiling a cyber strategy? Have that through. Joel, do you want me to?
Yeah. So in terms of cyber strategy wise, so a good starting point would be Cyber Essentials is a good start. Obviously, I know we're doing a lot of Cyber Essentials and sort of protect cybersecurity today, but So one starting point is to visit the National Cybersecurity website, and there's lots of resources for cyber strategies as well. And it's in bite-sized information. They also work with, they can refer you to Cyber Essentials certificate providers such as IASME as well, as an organisation we can get that information from. We also have a link as well, which James will pop in a moment if he hasn't done already, for charity boards to help put the right protocols in place as well.
Thank you. I've just had another one. So I need to build a website for the first time. Where can I look to find useful information on the steps I need to take? So I think this might be one for our content on our site. So I think I touched on earlier that we not only do we offer the discounted and donated tech, we also have our content website, which is on-demand webinars, podcasts, articles. There's just thousands and thousands of articles from our brilliant content editors in-house. So we will look up and try to find some content on that, whether it's a past webinar or whether it's an article with a how-to. And Joel, do we still have Wix in our catalogue? We do.
Yeah, took the words out of my mouth there. I was going to suggest as a maybe not the first step, but once you've got an idea of what you want to go for, you might want to take a look at the offer for Wix. They do a charitable discount for a 2-year subscription in terms of designing their website, and that kind of thing. You may also, if you're looking to get a domain, you might want to look at, I forget the name, the food-based one. What's the charity domain one called again, James?
Oh, I know what you're talking about, the pork bun one.
Pork bun, yeah, that's right. There you can get a free domain, charity domain, which is again via our website, but one of our partners there with pork bun. So that's another one of the steps you do after you found initially what you want to do. So you can find out what you want to do, perhaps look at the Wix offer, and also look at the pork bun for your charity domain as well.
It's too close to lunchtime to be saying words like pork bun. Okay, excellent. We've had another one. So many charities have ethical values, and we have learnt that storing data is highly unethical because of the heat generated by the servers and the electricity to run the servers. Any suggestions on how to square that circle? Again, I think we will actually have a lot of content on this because this year we're focusing on climate action as an organisation. So we've been talking a lot about the sustainability issues with tech in the charity sector. So I wonder if, James, you could do a bit of digging on our content website, although I know that, so there's the Climate Action Hub that James has already posted.
If you're referring to your own physical servers, I mean, one question is moving to the cloud. If you want to reduce the sort of outages from, if you're using a physical server that belongs specifically to your organization, you might consider moving everything to the cloud instead.
I will do some digging. We've got plenty of content on that hub, and I can see that some of our content writers are online. So I will do what Alice did with the other question and see if we can get an answer by the end of the session.
Sure, thank you. Yes, it's a topic that we've been really focusing on the past year, and improving sustainability for ourselves. And as Tim pointed out, the cloud is the issue. So it's not just physical servers, but actually the impact on the environment that things like the cloud are having. So, okay, so James is going to share some content on that. I'm just trying to scan the chat to see if I have missed anything. Do you have any guidance on CRM or volunteer management systems? So again, yeah, we can post some articles and previous on-demand webinars on this. It's a really popular topic that we have a lot of content on, so previous articles, podcasts, etc. And we also have more plans this year to talk about different CRMs. We're currently actually in the process as an organisation of researching and procuring our own CRM, because we used Salesforce for many years and we're just beginning to feel that it's not actually fit for purpose of what we want it to do. So we're looking at Zoho or maybe Pipedrive. I think we've been researching. We don't actually resell that. So we would need to go directly to these providers and see if there are any charity discounts. We do have Donor Perfect in our Charity Digital Exchange catalogue. And I know of a really good volunteer management system called Volunteero. Again, we don't sell Volunteero, but they're a brilliant organisation and a really good volunteer management system. So definitely check them out. And then I think we have one more. Please do feel free to keep the questions coming. Thank you, James, for posting all of the articles. That's really, really helpful. Does the .digital platform that you offer allow you to embed videos in emails? That's a good question. I'm going to pass over to our email marketing expert, Liz.
Thank you, Alice. Do you know, this is a question that does pop up on quite a regular basis. And with the .digital easy editor, you can use the video block to add video thumbnails to your campaigns, which opens up the video in the hosted location that you've got the video in a new browser window. You can embed videos, though. You would have to sort of insert the JavaScript in the hard code, so in the source code. And but it is something that you really do need to be wary of. I know that some email marketing platforms sort of do offer this, but it's not really probably the best, most reliable way of doing it, as it won't work on all email recipients. There's a high chance that some might not be able to play the video, and they might get caught up in spam filters as well. So if you just do extensive inbox testing, if you are embedding videos, and just be wary that some Microsoft email clients, for example, just use the HTML tags that allows the videos to be played in emails, but others don't. So you have to do a lot of testing on all sorts of different browsers and platforms on that. I hope that helps.
Thank you, Liz. That's great. And then we've had one come through the chat saying, do you have any advice on setting up an SLA with an IT provider when offering work? Ooh, that is a very, very interesting question. I mean, I think we have a couple of IT support people on this call that if you could help out. We don't really work with any IT providers. I'm trying to think. Joel?
I guess it's just, I guess with the term SLAs, it's like sort of defining what's good, what's acceptable in terms of deliverables from the company, which is something that we've, had a bit of experience working with external companies before. So I wouldn't have the information myself. It's not something I get directly involved in. Got another
Not
takeaway
sure
there.
if this is completely relevant, but we do have access to Fiverr Business. Fiverr is a marketplace where you can access freelancers and collaboration tools. So you can browse the catalogue of freelancers, chat to them and set your expectations, and then only then do you then go on and hire them. So I'll post that in the chat, so feel free to have a look at the marketplace. I think you can post up your job as well, but yeah, it's normally about £150 a year and it's free for charities. So even if you just sign up and have a look, then it's worth checking it out. So I'll post that here.
Thank you, James. Yeah, that's a really interesting question. Okay. Do we have any others that I've missed? Speak now. No, it all seems quite quiet. There were some really good questions there. Some really excellent ones. Has anyone got anything they want to ask us about the kind of things that we provide or the support we provide? I'll ask James to reshare the product consultation links with Joel that are free. And also our emails are on the screen if you would like to further explore anything we've spoken about today. And as we've said, all of the resources, the answers to the questions will be shared in the coming days, as well as the recording and subtitles. I can see David has their hand up.
Yeah, actually, I do have a question. It was broached earlier about the social media management tools. I'm actually interested in doing some analysis to find an appropriate social media management tool for somebody. Do you have any articles on this, like you have for the VMSs and CRMs?
I think, James, you're on mute.
Yeah, sorry, I accidentally, I think I accidentally muted you, David, instead of unmuting myself. Because you kind of popped into the area where I was just now.
But you did just do, shut up, David.
Yeah, so I'm not being rude, it's an accident. So yes, just posted earlier, yeah, the best CRM systems for 2023. I can reshare that, but we will definitely have some content on this. I will ask again with our content team who are online, and I'm sure we'll get one by the end of the session. But there's, you know, we produce new content every day for various different topics. So there's always plenty. Basically anything you can think of, hopefully we've got the content for it. And if not, just suggest it and we'll research and get that content to you.
I suggest one on social media management platforms.
Perfect.
I know Hootsuite is like the de facto, standard, but there are lots of others, and Hootsuite isn't cheap. But also looking for something that can integrate into WordPress as well, so it can post to Instagram and WordPress. That was a particular interest of mine. Anyway, yeah, thanks for your help.
No problem.
Excellent. We'll definitely pass that on. So we've had a few more come through, which is brilliant. So somebody asking, as a volunteer to a number of charities, how do I access hardware, etc.?
In terms of hardware, so are you looking to so I guess you're a volunteer because you're so it's the charity. So I guess the challenge would be it's the charities themselves which can gain access to the hardware, not you as an individual might have challenges. Even though you are a volunteer at multiple charities, you might face that challenge. What you might, a couple of points you might want to do to work with the charities that you do work with. Firstly, there's a couple of discounts out there for Dell and Lenovo if they do have the funds to help you gain the hardware you need to do your role. And we mentioned earlier as well where In-Kind Direct do provide donations of hardware to charities as well, or a very low cost hardware as well. So it might be worth reaching out to In-Kind directly. I mean, I know they usually directly work with the charity or the CIC or the non-profit, but if they can't work directly with you, then you might want to recommend the charities that you work for to help them provide you with the hardware that you need.
And do you have to contact In-Kind Direct through Charity Digital?
No, not at all. No, you can go directly to them. If you let them know that Charity Digital have sent them their way, they might be able to sort of proceed things a little bit quicker there for you. But yeah, you don't have to be registered with us to register or contact In-Kind Direct.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. And then we've had one saying, we use Google Analytics to harvest data from our website. Google is switching this off on the 1st of July and are recommending setting up a property on Google Analytics 4. This doesn't seem straightforward. Do you know anything about this or some advice? Yeah, so we are also having the same thing happen for us, and our head of IT, I think, has already done this. So we're going to go back to him and ask him for some advice. But there is also a course on LinkedIn about it as well. So James, if you're happy to provide that link in the chat. I don't know if you guys have access to LinkedIn Learning, but it's a tool that we use internally. I think for about 6 or 7 months now, we've been using it. And they had a really great charity discount for us. So we use that for kind of self-development and our colleagues getting extra support with things. As we all know, the charities face tight resources. So we try and upskill our staff best we can. But again, when we share the resources afterwards for these questions, we'll ensure to add some advice from our head of IT about the Google Analytics issue. Excellent. So, David, you've got your hands up.
Yeah, it was just to maybe provide a little bit further advice on that Google Analytics thing. I think, first of all, that there is a lot of confusion about this. It really isn't a big thing. It's just a better thing. Universal Analytics is turning to GA4, and it's a better system. So it's not something to be fearful of. The other thing to do is that Google have also said that they will automatically create you a GA4 property if you don't create it yourself. So if you do nothing, then it will still work. So there's, again, nothing to fear from it. Also, they have a setup wizard that if you log into Google Analytics using your charity's Google account, then if you haven't already set it up, there's a big, huge banner at the top that says, click here to set up your GA4, and it will run you through a setup, and it's very straightforward. So one type of analytics is stopping, but it will still continue on GA4, and you will have more options on GA4. So this is nothing to be weirded out about. It's a good thing.
Yeah, it's a bit like back in the day when Facebook would do an update and we would all complain and hate it for an hour, and then we would forget what the old interface looked like. I get the sense that's what's happening with the Google Analytics. But yeah, David is absolutely right. They will automatically create you your GA4, and we'll still provide some info around that. And I was furiously typing away your answer there as well, David, so we can include that in the comms when we put this out. So I've had one about cybersecurity insurance. What about cybersecurity insurance?
Yeah, so there's a few out there for charities. I mean, your starting point, obviously we always recommend the National Cybersecurity as your entry. Now, they don't provide the insurance, but they work alongside organizations that they can put you in the right direction. So for example, I mentioned a company as well called IASME earlier, which is one of the leading places for cyber essentials insurance, cyber essential certifications. But if you're looking for cyber insurance, start at the National Cybersecurity Centre. They're extremely lovely people. We've been working for a good while now as well. They've certainly helped me out in the past. Put your query towards them, and then they'll be able to put you in touch with some ideas for cyber insurance.
Excellent, thank you. And we have had one which I guess I'll answer, which is, can I ask why you have decided to move away from Salesforce as your CRM? What about it was not suiting Charity Digital's needs? Oof. So when I first joined 18 months ago, not everybody was using Salesforce, and that always makes me worried when we're paying for something that people aren't really using, because that feels like a waste of money, and I don't think it's good software if we're not using it. I have never used Salesforce historically in any role. I've always used Zoho. That's just the way the cookie crumbled, because every organization I worked for just had Zoho instead of Salesforce. So I have far more experience using other systems, and we had somebody, I think, configure our Salesforce specifically for us, and I don't know what they were doing, but it's really messy. The UI is not great. People aren't getting what they want out of it, and barely anyone was using it. And it's actually still quite expensive to have per year. So we looked at maybe making some improvements to it, or looking at a complete new person, a complete new supplier. So I've been doing some research to see if there are other better more suited for us products in the market, i.e. Zoho, Pipedrive. I can't actually think of any more off the top of my head because those are the ones that are in my head. But for us, what we need it for is capturing conversations that we're having with charities. So we talk to hundreds of charities a week about their products that they've ordered with us, and they have lots of questions. So we want to keep a track of the conversations, be able to build pipelines for any leads for sponsors, for campaigns that we run internally. And it just isn't super user friendly. What we have, our configured version of Salesforce. So if there is anyone that is currently using Salesforce and likes it and gets on with it, please don't go and just change your system for me. I don't know who the gentleman was that that came in and did it for us, but we've changed a lot as an organization over the years, and it just doesn't feel fit for purpose anymore. And I'm always reluctant when we're spending money on something that we're not using, because as a charity, we need to save the pennies where we can. Do you agree, Joel and Liz?
Yeah, I mean, originally, our Salesforce was set up a long time ago when Charity Digital had one of its many previous names for some of our long-term sort of followers there. I think it was initially helped to communicate different CRMs to connect to each other a little bit more, but as some of our other sort of platforms have updated the connection between Salesforce and the CRM or whatever it was, just doesn't work as well as it used to. And I do find with Salesforce and some of these other larger sort of database systems like CRMs, like maybe like Dynamics, for example, is that they're really good if you're fortunate enough to have someone who's on maybe a Salesforce engineer level experience to help set it up for your company, perhaps even remove some of the bells and whistles that come with something that can be potentially so complex as Salesforce can be at times. I often describe it as receiving a huge box of Lego but without any instructions. Like, yes, you can build something amazing, but you've got to really configure it well.
Yeah, I would just follow up. And I actually use Salesforce on a daily basis for what I do. But yeah, your analogy there, Joel, is just perfect. You don't have, unless you're actually given and you keep on top of it and you do have somebody in your organization that is guiding you through it. We just found that, yeah, maybe it wasn't the best for us at this moment in time.
Yes, agreed. Like David said in the chat, it's almost too configurable, and it's so many bells and whistles, and it feels like someone back in the day here was like, yeah, we'll have this, we'll have this, we'll have this, and it's just really intense. I find it, as someone that comes from a SaaS background, I find it really not easy to use and navigate. I'm just trying to see if I've missed anything. We're having some really good conversations, and thank you so much for everyone for all of your comments and all of your questions. And we love watching you guys give each other tips as well. And James, for posting so many links in the chat. You have been non-stop in the background there. Thank you. Okay, I think we have, oh, I've seen someone said they do use LinkedIn Learning. That's brilliant. We can really advocate for LinkedIn Learning, by the way. We really like it. And if anybody wants our account manager there that works for the charity sector, part of LinkedIn, yeah, I'm happy to provide you with his email address so that you can set up a demo. We don't resell it ourselves. Obviously, it comes directly from LinkedIn. Okay, I think we have got to the end of our questions. So